Hello people, welcome to another session of Real Talk with Chile. You can always tell I'm so excited to share on Real Talk with Chile. So today I got a question and I was struggling a little bit on how to answer this. And the reason is because I felt like the question was a little incomplete. And I'm gonna tell you what the question is. You know what, maybe I should have like a whole pad and start reading out the questions to you guys, but I know what the question is, so I'm just gonna tell you. The question was, my wedding is over, what's next? That was it. Nothing else. My wedding is over. What's next? And so I thought about that question for a while and tried to figure out what's the best way to approach this. And the reason is because it felt incomplete because I couldn't tell if the person was asking what to do after the event or how do I get more clients. I couldn't tell what the question was, but I'm gonna answer the question based on what I think it is. And I think this person's asking this question because I get this question a lot, surprisingly. And it's like, my wedding is over. I feel like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I really think that is really a question that's based a lot on our society. I think that the first thing I'm gonna share with you on this is actually something that you might not expect. And why would you not expect it? Because you're asking me what's next. And then I'm gonna tell you, tip number one is you need to rest. Pause is your next step. It's important to rest after every event. I cannot emphasize this enough. A lot of times we're so used to wanting to go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next bigger thing, the next best thing. But it's important to pause and get rest. You know, I always share with you the importance of taking courses. I did a video one time and I talked about the importance of getting courses to make sure that you know that this is what you want to do as a planner, that you want to start as a wedding planner. And I say that not because I offer courses, which are fabulous and you should totally take one, but I say that because that's something that I did myself. So when I started out as a planner and when I said, okay, I'm going to do this wedding planning thing, or when I was actually thinking about it, but I wasn't like 100% in, I took some courses. I looked up stuff and I registered for courses and I took classes. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to make sure that this was something that I really wanted to do and I had the knowledge to do it and not just the desire. So moving on from that, one of the courses I took was on convention and meeting planning. And I remember so well the instructor telling us that after every event we should rest. And I was like, what am I going to need to rest for? I'm Superwoman. I got this. But I soon found out after doing this for years that rest is essential. One of the things she talked about was the conventions and meetings. Sometimes you're planning for 2 years straight. And after every event, you need to unplug and get some rest. For weddings, a lot of times it feels like a really bad breakup. At least for me, it does. I fall in love with my clients. We're like best of friends. And next thing, the wedding is over and that's it. They're gone. I mean, God forbid, when they go on their honeymoon, guys, I'm always like, okay, so twiddling my thumbs. Like, I can't call them. I can't just text and say, hey, how do you feel? Because they're gone. And I realize I have to respect that they've started that new phase. Of course, you have clients that you're still friends with, which is great. But the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes you need to unplug and get your rest as well. If you do not rest, what happens sometimes is you end up tired and fatigued and you're not able to give your best to the next client. So you want to rest for that reason. You want to rest because if you don't get rest and you think I have to keep working, one day your body is going to be like, no, we're not doing this. Your body is going to break down on you and all that work you have to do is going to have to be paused anyway. So do yourself a favor and get some rest. Another reason why you want to rest is because you also don't want to have a situation where you keep piling things on and you start to make mistakes because you're not getting the adequate rest that you need. Your clients, trust me, they want you to be well. They want you to be well rested. Weddings take a toll on us. And if you're thinking about starting out and you're watching this, it's mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting. So you want to make sure that you're treating yourself well. So off that soapbox, rest is essential. The next thing I'm going to tell you to do, I think that it's really, really important when your event is over to take inventory and make sure that you're taking note of the things that went well. It's important to applaud yourself, like this went well. The event didn't, it started on time, ended on time, all the vendors showed up. Applaud yourself for the things that went well, but also take account of the things that didn't quite go as planned or things that you would have loved to go differently. Why it's important to do this is just, of course, so that you get better, so that you also don't make the same mistakes. One of my videos, I told you there's no point making the same mistake twice. So you want to make sure that you do that and do yourself a favor and take inventory. Taking inventory doesn't also just mean sitting and just saying, oh, this could have done better. It could also mean asking your different people on your team what they thought went well, and making sure you do that soon after your event. Because it's easy, especially when you have like tons of weddings planned in the year, you have your team meeting at the start of the year, and you don't have another meeting with your team till the end of the year. It's easy to forget the small details. Yes, you'll remember the big things like, oh, the cake didn't arrive. You remember that, but you're not gonna remember a small detail like, oh, there was no candle by the Unity candle table to light the candle when it was time in the program. That's a small detail you might not remember. And so making sure that you take the inventory early could also help you to make those little improvements that could make a big difference in your business. And the third and final thing is to reach out to the people that you worked with. Your event went well, your event went successful. It didn't go successful just because of all your efforts. Because all the different vendors did what they were supposed to do. And so you want to reach out to the vendors and thank them. I have a whole course on building and managing your vendor relationships. And in that course, I talk a lot about how to build those relationships, how to manage relationships. And I have a whole section in there where I talk about the importance of appreciating your vendors and reaching out to them after every event. So if you take these 3 steps, I think that they'll be useful for you to make it a part of your process and your systems in making sure you A, get some rest, B, make sure that you take inventory, but make sure you reach out to the vendors. You know, the interesting thing about reaching out to vendors is that some vendors never get a thank you from the couple. As much as, you know, they're like, okay, you did the job I paid you to do, so that's it. And so you reaching out is a way for you to thank them, to appreciate them. And it's also a way for you to start building that relationship, that lasting relationship. So thank them. And if there's some vendors that didn't do too well, you want to also, that's a good time to give that feedback as well. And if nothing else, they can also give you feedback on how they thought your services went from their perspective towards the client so that you can get better. So I hope you enjoyed this today, and I hope these were very useful tips for you as you continue on. And I really hope I answered the question for whoever asked this question. If this wasn't quite what you were looking for, make sure you send another email and let me know exactly what it is that you wanted me to answer. But I hope this was helpful for the other people that have asked me this question in so many different ways. These are just some of my tips of things you can do to get some well-needed rest, to be able to make sure that you are serving your clients better for your businesses. So things you need to do after your event. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.